he may feel he may not be able to shoot it quite as well right now, and he may not have the conditioning or the strength and endurance that the game takes when he starts out. But I don't think he has any doubts in his mind that he can return to the same form that he left it.
Peter, you've also been talking with Bulls owner Jerry Reinsdorf throughout the weekend. What about this alleged announcement that Michael Jordan's going to make on Monday about his decision?
He says he knows nothing about it. He says it would be very uncharacteristic of Michael to do something like that without telling him first. And he's going to be very hard to get. He's on his way to Florida today for the baseball talks. I asked him when they talked last Thursday, did he know which way he was leaning? And he said he couldn't tell. But he would just be very, very surprised if Michael would not play any sport this season. Golf, anyone?
Exactly, which is where you've spent some time with Michael Jordan on the golf course and in other situations. What do you think he's going to do, Doc?
Well, I was at Michael's retirement in November. I played golf with him in January. We talked about a lot of things, but Michael's not coming back to play basketball. I'd be hard-pressed to feel that he's going to come back. He's going to give up the freedom that he enjoys right now. People search their whole life, you know, for freedom and security and independence. How's he going to come back to a game where the rules and regulations and curfews? You know, Michael's not going to become a 10-day contract player and prostitute the game of basketball by coming back for 15 games in the playoffs. I just don't see it.
Interesting. So you don't think he's coming back, but maybe you, as a former superstar, have a more realistic view of the sacrifices that he would have to make if he does come back to the game. Meanwhile, the speculation continues. What would Michael's return to the Bulls mean to the balance of power in the NBA? Well, let's go back to Marv Albert and Bill Walton and check in with them in Orlando.
All right, Hannah, first of all, I think it would be a bombshell. It's just startling if Michael does not come back, in particular after hearing what Phil Jackson had to say. There's been so much speculation as to what the date would be, and if Michael happens to be tuned in, I'd like to say on behalf of all of us at NBC, we have a very fine Chicago at Indiana game, Bill, next Sunday afternoon. It would be just perfect. In terms of the balance of power for the rest of the league, it's incredible how one guy can affect it all. How long would it take for Jordan to be in what would be considered top form?
Every coach always says that, hey, we're just one guy away. Well, that guy just happens to be Michael Jordan for the Chicago Bulls, but Jordan could come out right away and get 54 points, which would be the league high this year, surpassing Willie Burton's. Jordan's strength is that his game is based on fundamentals. It's not based on physical skill. So as he gets older, he can still be the game's greatest player. At first, there would be a situation where he would come out for the first week to 10 days, he'd be spectacular. Then a little bit of a drop-off because the physical conditioning would catch up to him. But then as the playoffs get into full swing, he would be right there, and Chicago would be at the top with Orlando in the East.
So you see 54 points in that first game tonight.
That's the only appropriate thing, and I think that this would significantly hurt the New York Knicks psychologically.
All right, let's get back to Hannah.
Thanks, guys. So the speculation continues regarding Michael's comeback, and certainly the hope continues regarding his comeback as well. But we should emphasize at this point, we have no definitive indication that he is coming back to the NBA or when that might be. But we do know that we will be right back after a message from Prudential and a word from the NBA.